Hi, my name is Devin Radmal. I'm a student at Dixie State University, and today I'm going to be going over a topic for my tax research class with Professor James Richards. And the issue which I'm going to be covering is ordinary and necessary business expenses. What constitutes an ordinary and necessary business expense, what makes it deductible for tax purposes, and how are businesses supposed to treat them. One of the main places that you can go for reference or for the rule of law, for the hard facts about what makes an expense ordinary and necessary, is in the Internal Revenue Code section 162. Specifically, section 162 subsection A states that deductions are allowed for all ordinary and necessary expenses paid or incurred during the taxable year in carrying on any trade or business. So, like exactly what it sounds like, what is a business expense, or what expenses do businesses need in order to carry on in a normal environment, in a normal economy? Basically, some businesses are going to have expenses like travel, and some businesses may not. The thing I find most interesting or most important to know about Code Section 162 is that it's vast. It has multiple lists of expenses. It has lists of expenses that qualify as ordinary and necessary, and also has lists of some expenses that may not qualify. And it's important as business owners and as tax professionals to know the difference between an expense that is deductible or an expense that is not, and also whether an expense should be capitalized or if it should just be taken straight as an expense. But that's not necessarily the issue at hand. It's more what qualifies. And in order for businesses to be ethical and to practice within the law, if they go to Code Section 162, they'll be able to find examples and where the law states that they can kind of draw the line. Also important is that some people know about it and some people don't. It can, like some people who have been in business for a long time will have direction, and they'll know exactly what they've expensed in the past, what their accountant has helped them to discover as reasonable and necessary for their course of business. But some people will be coming into a new business, they'll be starting their own, and they just might not have any idea what they need to do. And so as tax professionals, as well as new business owners, research needs to be made. A lot of business owners might be nervous and not know exactly what, and they might not be able to totally utilize their tax benefit. And so getting into that a little bit more, some of the expenses that can be used are almost always applicable to any sort of business is salaries and wages. It might not seem obvious as an expense, but it is. That is incurred almost by every business. Travel, like I discussed before, you can get into travel, and but that can be tricky as well. People may take advantage and count hotel room stays when they weren't on business endeavors, but it needs to be for business. Also, the rent that the business pays. All these things go into effect that are just typical expenses. Like rent, you have to rent in order to maintain a business office, unless you own, but still you'll be paying payments on mortgage or what have you. But all these things, they're typical, they're important, and they're necessary for a business to carry on. So in conclusion, the businesses, as long as they work with tax professionals and work within the laws stated by the Internal Revenue Code, they'll be able to deduct expenses that are ordinary and necessary and maximize their tax benefit and also minimize their tax liability. And that is the summary of ordinary and necessary business expenses.